So, okay, so what I'm going to teach you today is I'm going to teach you how to sling a arm due to a shoulder dislocation, a clavicular fracture, and to use the sling in order to stabilize the shoulder and the elbow after you splint. Okay, so we talked about splinting before, right? And the splinting is placed on the arm. Okay, you put the splint on the arm, but something has to hold the splint, something has to hold the shoulder and the elbow and the wrist in place. Okay, it can't, we could just have them splint themselves, right? Or self-splint themselves with the other arm. That's fine too. But if we have a sling, sling accessible to them, then we'd rather sling it, and then it allows them a lot more comfort when it comes down to that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to sling using this triangular bandage. And so with the triangular bandage, you do not have a triangular bandage necessarily with you, right? So these are going to be available for you to come pick up at school. This next procedure for the slinging will be due Friday night. Okay, will be due Friday night. So you can come pick up the sling at school, the triangular bandage. I'm just going to hand one out to you, and you just let me know what time works for you. You send me a message through Remind. Let me know what time works out for you, and I'll give you one of these, and it's yours to keep. Okay, so a triangular bandage. What the triangular bandage does also, and I was going to say too, is that I don't think I mentioned in this class to be able to prepare one. So what's going to happen today is that you're just going to watch the demonstration, okay? And then it's not going to be something you're going to do in class. You're going to actually perform it on a live partner at home before Friday night, right? So you can just watch what I do, the demonstration. I'll post it again to YouTube and to Google Classroom. Then you can use it for your own purposes when you're performing on a live partner at home, okay? So the triangular bandage, obviously it comes out of it, right? And it looks like so, okay? And so it looks, it's very long, okay? And it has, it is triangular, but it's not a triangle where the sides are all the same. It actually is a little bit longer on the ends, okay? And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna use a triangular bandage to sling a live partner. So I'm gonna show you how to do that on my not live partner here, okay? But so first things first, okay? So I want to introduce you. I have Skelly here, right? So Skelly is my partner, right? And so I'm going to perform the slinging procedure on Skelly, all right? So if you can see the sling procedure is already applied to him, right? So this is how it looks, or her. And so I'm going to take it off now, and then I'm going to reapply it with a new triangular bandage. Now, when you are slinging, placing a triangular bandage on a individual, you're going to use it for stabilization of the shoulder, elbow, and wrist for different particular injuries. So let me just step back a second. A shoulder dislocation doesn't need a splint. Okay, the sling, the cravat used to provide the sling stabilization is going to help with the shoulder stability and keeping it in place, because we don't want to move the shoulder during the shoulder dislocation. It will also help with a clavicular fracture. So the clavicular fracture, the clavicle is here, okay? It goes from the scapula to the sternum, okay? So this is the clavicle, and then the clavicular fracture can be at any particular point. It'll be very painful for the individual to move their arm up and down. So we want to be able to stabilize the shoulder with a sling application due to a clavicular fracture. Now, the other reason we would stabilize is what we need to do with a splint is that when we splint the arm, okay, when we splint the arm, just like the leg, we're splinting. So let's just say that this is where the fracture is. We're splinting the joint below and the joint above, okay? The injury. So the joint below and the joint above. It's no different than the leg. When we splint the leg, we stabilize the ankle joint, which is a joint below, and we stabilize the knee joint, which is a joint above, by having the rod or the splint material go past the foot, right? So that it's on, the foot is actually on the splint material, or it's longer than the foot if it's a rod or whatever it might be, a pole, and it should go higher than the knee. So we're stabilizing above the knee, right? So we're stabilizing the knee and the ankle. So it's no different for here, for the forearm, a forearm fracture, we're stabilizing, right, with the splint, right? Again, the splint material is going to go further past the fingers, so the fingers are on it, and then it should go past the elbow, right? But the splint actually, the splint doesn't stabilize the elbow, because you can still bend the elbow with the splint on, all right? Remember that it wraps up, but we really technically could still bend it. So we need to stabilize the elbow, which is stabilizes the joint above the injury, by utilizing the sling, as the sling holds the elbow in place and doesn't really allows the shoulder to move, but it really kind of helps stabilize the elbow and keep it in place, and then allows you to feel the comfort of not moving the shoulder as well, because it's kind of high up as well. Okay, so that's where we're at with that. So on Skelly, how this will work is when you apply this. So I can't self-split Skelly because his arm here, it has a different ligaments and all. It doesn't bend, right? So we just kind of attached the fingers into the rib cage right now, just to put it in a position where it's already self-splinted. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it out, and you can see how it's self-splinted with regards to that. Okay, so what's going to happen is with your partner, what you would do is this let me go back here and just show you real quick here. So this triangular bandage, right, it has a pointy end to it, which is down here. So the pointy end is actually going to be oriented so it's on the elbow side of the forearm. So when I place it, I'm going to place it over Skelly's shoulder, like so. I'm going to place it over his shoulder like so. I'm going to slide one end through between his arm and his stomach, his abdominal area. And we're going to rest it. And this is going to go on the other side. So it kind of rests like that. Okay, so let me just back out a little bit. So it rests. So this is the pointy part. So we just change the orientation and make the pointy part behind or posterior or at the same level as his elbow is, or her elbow, this Skelly's elbow. And then one long end is at the bottom and one long end is at the top. Okay, so it would end up resting like so. So let me do it on myself real quick. So if we had a live partner and I'm self-splinting, we'll do it my left elbow. So my left elbow's here. You'd lay it on the shoulder like so. Pull it from underneath. So, and be real careful with the arm, right? The pointy area here, okay, is going to be back there where the elbow is. And then now I can be prepared to provide the support that's needed for the split for the sling. So what I'll do on myself real quick is that this here, okay, is going to come up on the opposite shoulder, like so. And then this pointy area here is going to end up being on this end of the elbow. And I'll explain that to you in a little bit. So we should have, right now, this is our prep, right? We're prepping it on the body, like so. We kind of extend it out past the hand. Here's my hand right here. We extend it out past the hand. We do the best we can, okay? And stretch it out a little bit, like so. And then what we would do is that we would tie it, okay, like that. And then we would tie a knot here on the elbow. And then we'd have a sling that's supporting the arm. Okay, so I can't tie it myself, it's too difficult. So we're gonna apply this sling to Skelly. Okay, so here we have the same thing. It's draped over his shoulder, or her shoulder, his or her, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch it out here as much as we can. And then I'm going to drape it. I'm going to drape it over the opposite shoulder. Okay, like that, real nice. And we'll just kind of keep it there for now. We can hold both sides together. Okay, so with one hand, just to kind of support it, we can hold it like that. And then stretch out the sling on both sides of the hand and the elbow. Okay, like so. Then what we could do is at that point, we can tie it. Okay, so now I would reach across. My partner's shoulders and neck, right? And then we can pull up a little bit so we can add some support. We don't want it to be we don't want the arm to hang too low. We want the arm to stay up high as much as possible to also elevate it. So we're gonna pull up a little bit, okay? And then we're gonna tie it. And we'll knot it, just a light, easy, loose knot. Doesn't have to be tight, a tight knot. Okay, we'll just knot it. Okay, now I have his sling supported, but we're not done yet, okay? Or his arm supported, but we're not quite finished yet. Sorry. So now what I have to do, get this the right way, okay, is I need to pull this further back so that the pointy end is past his elbow. So, and I can stretch this out too, so his hand, let's see, so that his hand is completely covered too as well. So now what I'm gonna do, on this side here, let me lower this a little bit. You can see better. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull the pointy end of the sling and we're going to pull it past the elbow so that it looks It's not working with me here. Okay, we're gonna pull it so that, just trying to give you a different angle so that it's past the elbow, okay? So here's the elbow here, and then here's all of the excess sling material. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna tie a knot. Okay, so I'm gonna twist it. I'm gonna keep twisting. Twist, we want a long twist. And I'm trying to see, make sure you can see without my fingers getting in the way. We're gonna keep twisting. And now I have a pretty long kind of thread that I've just created. You can see that there, right here. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie a knot on that. All right, so you see a little bit better there. Now I'm gonna tie a knot. So I'm going to, it has to be long enough, okay, so that you can tie a knot and the knot's not difficult. So we're going to, this is sometimes is a really hard thing for a lot of students to do. So we're gonna make a loop like that, okay? So that my finger obviously can go through that loop. And then I'm going to put it through, put the end through the loop. Make sure my fingers are not in the way. And now we have a tied knot there. Okay, like so, like that there, tied knot here. And then now what we've done is we've created a pocket. Okay, so we've created a pocket for the elbow to sit in. All right, so there's your little pocket there for that elbow to just rest comfortably in. And then now what we have is, just raise this a little bit. Okay, so now we have a pocket here. We have the knot tied up here on the top. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're just going to stretch out the splint as much as we can to provide enough support on the hand too. All right, so now you can see here that the hand is supported inside the sling on the, we'll call it the hand side of the sling. And so now what we have provided is a sling application, all right, for the individual with his arm and hand elevated and support of the elbow, the wrist. If it's a split situation, then obviously the wrist and the hand would be on a splint. You'd have the sling protecting the elbow and supporting the elbow so that the hand and the arm are not moving, to obviously offer some more stabilization. And if we have a shoulder dislocation, then we have the shoulder that can't move, it's stabilized. Also, this could be for elbow dislocation as well, that we wouldn't want the elbow to move in the elbow dislocation. And then if it's a clavicular fracture, we wouldn't want the shoulder to move because the clavicle's fractured. We wouldn't want the bones to move as well. So that would be stabilizing the shoulder as well with this particular sling application. Okay, so that completes my video demonstration of how to appropriately apply a sling for an injury.